Hi guys, I just want to encourage you with a story that's recently happened within our church. About a year ago, a guy who two of his sons had come into the church, given their lives to Jesus. He started coming to church, and he also gave his life to Jesus, and they both ended up baptizing him, which was an amazing thing to see, and actually a miracle, because there was a lot of different things that happened between them in the past, and they were able to forgive, and to actually the boys were able to see their dad baptized. Unfortunately, he ended up in prison, and in a prison that's a little bit further away from where we live, and obviously sometimes you can be discouraged by that, because we saw someone give their life to Jesus, get baptized, but fortunately things that he had done before he'd even given his life to Jesus had caught up with him, and he ended up in prison. Earlier this year, another young lad came into the church, and he gave his life to Jesus, and he was baptized, and he's connected to one of the boys whose dad was baptized. And again, unfortunately, a past had caught up with him, and he ended up being going to jail. And at first it looked like he was in a local jail to us, so we were going to connect with him and keep him encouraged in his faith. But then he got moved, and again, as church leaders, as people that are seeing people baptized and people coming to the Lord, you can think, God, what's going on? Like, this isn't the plan. We want to see these people going with Jesus. We want to see them free and moving in the plans that you have for them, and yet now they're in prison. How did that work? But as we know, there are consequences to our actions, and even though these guys had come to Jesus, they had a past that had caught up with them, and we were worried for this young lad, because we were thinking, like, God, this is the first time he's gone there. This is going to be difficult for him. Anyway, he gets moved into a different prison, which is further up north, and it so happens that he ends up in the same prison as the guy, the father, who had also ended up in prison. But what's also even more amazing is they ended up being put in the same cell. And what's even more amazing than that is the father, the one that had been baptized, the one whose sons had to reconcile with him to see him come, for them even to be able to baptize him. He ends up saying, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of him, and I'll get him to church on Sunday." And so he's encouraging him. This guy is encouraging this other young lad to get to church and to keep going with his faith. And what are the odds of two people in our church that both been baptized, both then ended up getting put into jail, and then ended up in the same cell so they can take care and look after each other? I think that's incredible. It's also testament that our plans are not God's plans, our ways are not God's ways, and what God was putting together is beyond what we could have imagined. And we have real hope and expectation that what God's going to do in that prison with these two guys is going to be beyond our expectations, and it's already blown our expectations, what God's already done. But we're also excited for what God can do beyond their jail term. So keep those guys in prayer. But I hope it encourages you, even as if you're a church leader watching this, to think you're not always going to see the results you want to see. You're not always going to see things work out the way you want it to work out, but God's got a plan that's beyond what we can see. He sees the beginning to the end. And just hearing that was like, wow, God, imagine how it could look if they didn't have you going into that place. But now they've got you, they can have peace. Now they've got you, they've got hope. Now they've got you, they've got each other. So yeah, I just praise God for that.